Poinsettia, Chapter 18. Angus hummed as he stood on a ladder, decking the halls with garland and Christmas balls. A red one here, a green one there. Silk poinsettias covered up the tacks used to pin up the garland. This was, strangely, an expensive product, as Angus had seen to it that they were custom-made for his master. The tune emitting from his throat was the ever-popular Deck the Halls, which was both cheerful and a little ironic, given the situation of being exactly what he was doing. He felt absolutely festive. Yule and Christmas were fast approaching. Oh, the joy! The rooms were alight with golden glows from electric table lamps on small stool tables. In the larger rooms, the faint glow came from electric crystal-laden chandeliers. Gavin was rather fortunate to be able to afford this newfangled electricity. Gavin was walking along the hall, paying very little attention to the world around him as he sifted through his mail, reading the envelopes and guessing their contents. Mostly it was junk mail and bills. How common. He paused, pulling out an envelope that was finally a correspondence. "Oh, Tristan sent me a letter. How nice of him." "It's probably a Christmas card, Gavin." "You think so, Gah!" Gavin said, as he had peered up the ladder at the boy, only to turn away with a cry when he saw the bare contents beneath the umbrella kilt above him. "Damn it, Angus! Can't you put something on under that?" "I didn't like being confined," he whimpered. "Are you putting up Christmas decorations?" Bonny good, eh?" "You have almost a month to go, Angus. What's the hurry?" "It is snowing. It'll just put me in the mood." "But later, you will have to help me pick out the tree for the house and hospital." "They'll die if we pick one out too early," he remarked. He opened the envelope. The card inside was tactfully colorful, with season's greetings typed across the front. The inside was generally blank, except for the personal handwritten note from Tristan. "Gavin, your visit was a true pleasure. With the upcoming season, I both long for and loathe the joys of snow. Perhaps next time it will be I who visits you. Perhaps it will be on my way to experience the United States of America. What use is a vampire who does not explore every corner of this great earth? And if there is one thing an old vampire enjoys, it's the chance to see a new world. But for now, I bask in the warm, sandy evenings, and you chill in the European snow. I wish you well on the upcoming season and new year. Here's to new faces and new adventures to the both of us. Happy Hanukkah. Sincerely yours, Tristan Darlington I." Gavin shook his head with a chuckle. Oh, he is so full of himself, isn't he? He would be so pompous as to refer to himself in a more regal manner than necessary. The first, indeed. He makes it so obvious that my official title intimidates him. He envies it. "Is he a Jewish vampire?" Angus asked, hanging halfway off the ladder to read over Gavin's shoulder. "No, believe it or not, my friend, that was a joke." "Yeah, very good one. Rather a dry sense of humor he has." "The driest of the dry," Gavin chuckled. "But then again, I suppose that is his charm." He stuffed the card back into its envelope. "Well, on this fine note, I believe it is time for a little breakfast and a cup of tea." "Your newspaper is already in the den, master," Angus said. "And I'll bring you your tea and croissant right away." "That'll be fine, Angus, thank you." And with that, Gavin headed towards his den and set the mail atop a small table on one side of it. He then strode over to his chair before a fireplace. The fire inside was already lit and roaring warmly. As promised, in came Angus and set down the tray with the croissant and tea on a table beside the chair. He then decided that this would be the next room to decorate and set to work, continuing to hum Christmas carols. One would think this would annoy Gavin as he read the paper, but he soon fell into a complete relaxation and began to hum along absently as he looked over the headlines. "Master," Angus suddenly spoke up, "I was wondering, will you be feeding again this month?" Why ask something like that? Gavin replied, not lifting his eyes from his paper. Well, Christmas is coming. I heard the vampires cannot feed in Christmas because the blood didn't taste good. Gavin turned the page. That's true. For some reason, blood is not very tasty, nor filling or satisfying on Christmas. A vampire could feed on 1,000,000 people and never become full. It's like water and air. Disgusting, really. Then you should feed one more time before then. I appreciate your concern, but I assure you I will be fine. Angus gave a little laugh, stretching from the ladder to wrap garland about the head of a dead deer on the wall. I bet I sound like an old nanny sometimes. I know you're thinking that. But perhaps it's a hobby. But also, sometimes you forget to take care of yourself. I can't imagine what life would be like without me reluctant vampire master. But what do I know, right? He perked, concerned that Gavin had not answered him. He peered over his shoulder. Master? The teacup dropped onto the carpet, spilling the tea in a sopped-up puddle. Master! Angus cried, falling off the ladder and crawling over to his master's chair. Gavin? Gavin was silent and pale, staring wide-eyed at the paper. Angus snatched it from him and read it over. Gavin covered his mouth, letting out shocked and exasperated noises. He finally let out a cry and covered his face as he sobbed. Angus swallowed hard. He read over the horrifying news aloud. Mr. Franklin Lewis Barders was found dead yesterday. Cause of death appeared to be a gunshot wound to the head. As of now, there are no suspects, but no witnesses have come forward. Officer Sean McClure of the Glasgow Police Department assures he will do his best to find the culprit. Much sympathy is felt for Mr. Barders' widow, Mrs. Laura Barders. Our greatest regrets. He lowered the paper with another hard swallow. It just goes on from there. He came over and rubbed Gavin's back. It's now your fault, master. I promised him that he would get well, Angus. How his soul shall probably wander in hatred of me and my lie. What have I done? Then I blame yourself. It cannot be helped by you. How could you have known? You did nothing. Nothing! Absolutely nothing. Somebody was out to get him and I failed to protect him. He sniffled. And his poor wife. And at this time of year. She'll be all right. His funeral. When was his funeral? They will ship the body back here. Tomorrow afternoon. How will you manage that? The sun will still be out. I can't miss it, Angus. I just can't. He wiped his eyes and pulled out his handkerchief from his pocket and blew his nose.